Welcome to the Sykes & Company PA video blog.
Your pharmacy inventory is very critical to the computation of what your gross margin should be in a pharmacy. The only way you're able to determine what you have in that inventory and in turn what your adjustment needs to be at the end of each month, and yes, that adjustment should occur at the end of each month, is to keep a perpetual inventory system in place, especially in your script area. Your OTC items, you typically can guess within a few $1,000s what that is. But your script inventory needs to be on a perpetual basis. You need to be keeping, you need to be doing cycle counts with that inventory, which verifies section by section over the course of maybe the quarter or the year, which you have back to your script management system where the perpetual system is kept. So by keeping that inventory accurate, then the adjustment goes to cost of goods sold on your P&L. On your P&L, you've got revenues, you got cost of goods sold, then you have gross margin. Then below that, you have operating expenses, and then net income before tax. So what we're talking about here is that top section. Sales less cost of goods sold gives us gross margin. Now, that typical gross margin is going to be about 22, 23%, unless you're involved in compounding, DME, things of that nature, net of rebates. And when you are keeping an accurate inventory, then both your script margin logs or your script dispensing logs and the percentages that you're showing there and the percentages that you should be showing on your profit and loss statement through your accounting system should be somewhat analogous and in sync with each other. Now, they always will not be completely exact between the script dispensing logs in which your accounting system is showing, but with the proper adjustments through your inventory system, you are going to be more than likely to have a more accurate gross margin. And if you have an accurate gross margin, then you can determine very quickly whether your accounting system is providing you the right information that you need for planning purposes, whether it be for tax or financial management purposes. So the inventory, the tying that back in and making those periodic adjustments, again, that needs to be monthly adjustments, not annual adjustments, is the only way you can determine whether your gross margin is accurate. Well, the turns is going to affect your cash flow probably more so than it's going to affect your margins. But with just-in-time inventory that most pharmacies have, in that they order one day, they receive the next, there's no need for your inventory to turn once every 30 days. If you turn it every 15 days, that doubles to 24 times a year from 12. So most pharmacies that are utilizing some cloud-based technologies that are out there in today's marketplace, which allows them to predict what their reorder systems need to be, what their reorder amounts need to be on what days of the month, as they tie that back into their synchronization and adherence systems on their script computer systems, will allow them to sync the two together to make sure that if Bob Smith comes in on the 8th of the month and gets his 5 scripts at one time, there's no need for that inventory to be on the shelf until the day before. So the computer will predict that with the right metrics that are in place, again, to minimize what inventory you've got on the shelf, to maximize the cash into the bank. It doesn't necessarily increase your gross margins necessarily, but it increases your cash flow, increases all your financial cash flow metrics like your current ratio, et cetera, and obviously keeps more money on the bank rather than on the shelf. So, a lot of pharmacies' fear is to run out of inventory at certain times of the month. But with, again, the artificial intelligence that's available in these cloud-based systems today, these systems over time can predict very well what amount that you need on the inventory or what days of the month. And you need to be considering these systems if you're not. Oh, by far, we see margins far greater than that. Again, depending on the type of pharmacy that it is. Obviously, if you're doing long-term care, margins are typically higher there. If you're doing specialty, they're going to be materially lower. If you're doing compounding, they're going to be materially higher. So depending on the nature or the subset of the pharmacy that you may have, margins can really run the gamut of literally from single digit on specialty to 75, 80% for compounding. But the typical retail pharmacy should be showing margins in the low mid 20s without any question. Well, if they're not hitting their margins, they first need to make sure that their receivables and their inventory and the payables are properly recorded, making sure their numbers are very accurate. They need to compare their accounting numbers back to their dispensing logs that the script management systems are producing to see if there are any particular issues there. Each and every day as they complete the day's fills, they need to review for any potential rebillings or negative items that potentially can affect those margins. And there's some proprietary systems that are out in today's marketplace that can help the pharmacist decide which NDC codes can provide a better rate of return for a particular third-party contract than others. So there's a whole industry and a whole science behind increasing margins in pharmacies in today's environment. And it's just a question of what systems and what platforms that one is using and how much attention one is putting upon that particular issue. But there's nothing more important in a pharmacy than how well you're buying. And how well you're buying transfers into what your gross margin will end up being. If you put 85% of your effort on how well you're buying and buying better, not just doing the same thing that you've always done, then you will be able to recognize and begin to see as you talk with your peers and as you visit those at trade shows what others are doing to increase their margins. Granted, it has a lot to do with what third-party contracts that you're filling, whether you're filling third-party, Part D as in dog, Medicare, or whether you're doing cash scripts and the combination of all the above. But again, the technology is there to help you maximize that, and you're not necessarily locked into a particular percentage if you see that you're not meeting what's considered the NCPA standards there.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel.